Hello everyone, my name is Valerie Bishop. I'm an instructor here at Wake Tech Community College for the cosmetology program. What I'm going to demonstrate for you today is a 90-degree cut. But before I do that, what do I have to do first, you guys? Gotta wash those hands. All the time we don't have the opportunity to be at a full-blown sink, so you have your shampoo bowl here, so we're going to utilize that to wash your hands with. Easily, just turn on your water. And you got to know how to do the pressure just right so you do not get yourself wet. You wet your hands first. Use a liberal amount of hand sanitizer or soap. And again, you have to shampoo those hands, wash those hands for at least 20 seconds. And if you don't know what 20 seconds is, you can do the birthday song, you can do the ABC song, but you want to make sure you wash those hands good. Go underneath the nail beds, as well as in between the fingers. And I make sure I wash all the way up to my wrist. You can rinse your hands. Make sure you get all the soap off. Because again, I'm doing this in a real setting because not all the time do you have a separate sink where you can do that. Turn your water off. Use a clean paper towel. Use another paper towel. Make sure you thoroughly dry. And I will throw that away. All right. Next, we are going to prep our desk area to do our service. Hello, everyone. Now that I've washed my hands for at least 20 seconds, we're now going to sanitize and clean this work area. All right. We have a choice of using our citrus, or we can use our Barbicide wipes. I'm going to use the citrus spray. But before I do that, I'm going to put my gloves on, because I want to protect my hands from all the chemicals. And I'm going to have my cleaning cloth. This is a clean cloth, but it's my cleaning cloth, so it looks a little dingier because that's what I use it for, cleaning surfaces. You're going to mist your work area with your citrus, and you're going to wipe it down. Make sure you cover your whole work area. All right, now that I've cleaned the surface of this work area, now we need to go in with a little bit of a more intense cleaning, and we're going to mist it again, even a little heavier, the whole surface area, for 3 minutes, and we're going to let it sit. So for right now, I'm going to let that sit for 3 minutes, and then we're going to come back and wipe it down. All right, you guys, it's been 3 minutes since I've let the citrus sit. So now we're going to clean this up. Making sure you clean the area and it dries completely. I thought I was tearing up something, y'all, but it's actually my bracelet. What is that? So, This area now is completely dry, and now it is ready for setup. So I am getting ready now to set up my workstation for the 90-degree cut. All right, you guys, so now we have our client here, and he told me he wanted to get a 90-degree haircut today. So I went on and I properly draped him, and you guys learned earlier how to drape. And in the draping, you make sure you can use either a neck strip or a towel. I chose to use a neck strip because it fits more flush, and I can pin it back better, and it won't be in my way. It won't be as bulky, so I can get to his neckline. So the first thing you want to do is you want to have your setup. So with your setup, I have a couple of all-purpose combs. I have my shears. I have some clips, an extra neck strip just in case. And that is it. Oh, I'm sorry, and my water bottle, which let me grab right quick. Don't y'all go nowhere. See? Things like that happen when you're videotaping. So, you got your water bottle, combs, clips, shears, and an extra neck strip just in case. And as far as your 90-degree, we're going to go in. You're going to comb that hair. Make sure it's not tangled up and you have control of it. And the 90 is kind of considered, for most people, almost like an advanced haircut because it's with precision. So you want to have control on your client or your customer and the hair. So what I suggest doing is either doing a 5-part or a 4-part. So with a 5-part, I would do 1, 2, 3, 3 sections in the crown and 2 in the back. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to section it off. All right, you guys. Larry here, me and him had a talk, and I found out his name and what he was looking for. He definitely wants a 90, and he has a lot of hair. So I went on and just did, like I said, a 5-part section on him just so I can get some control on his hair. And so we have, and I left out his perimeter. So you have 2 parts here in the back, and then of course, I'll turn Mr. Larry around, tilt him down, and you have 1, 2, 3 parts in the front. Would I normally do my 90 like this? Definitely not. Excuse me, Larry, I ain't mean to put my hands in your face. Sorry about that, sir. But just to show for educational purposes, you want to always have control, and that's what we're doing. We're having some control. Again, leave out your perimeter, because the one thing most people notice when they do a 90-degree haircut is you end up having bites on the side, and you don't want to do that. So to avoid the bites, that's the reason why we leave out the perimeter. Now, as a lefty, I'm going to start with my left side. And again, you got your water, we got our combs, clips, extra clips, shears, and our contaminated container. Alright, so we're going to start on this left side here. Again, make sure your client is properly draped. Do a nice consult with them to find out exactly what is expected, and you get started. So as far as our 90-degree haircut, I'm going to start with this section here first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, Larry said he wanted, you said what now? Okay, he said he wanted about 4 or 5 inches off, y'all. You did say 4 or 5. Okay, I ain't going to argue with you. Yes, sir. The client is always right. So if you're not for sure how much 4 or 5 inches are, this is what your all-purpose comb is for. That's why I don't like cutting hair with a rat tail. You can cut whatever you want, but the all-purpose, it gives you control. You got your bigger teeth on one end, you got your smaller teeth on the other, and it just gives you that control. So if he wants 5 inches off, we go and look at our numbers here on the comb. That's 4, because that's a little over the halfway point, and then 5 inches would be here. I'm going to start with 4 because you don't want to ever cut too much because you can't put it back. So down at your base here, we're going to measure off 4 inches is roughly right about here. Take your shears. You already know how to properly hold your shears. And like I said, I'm a lefty, so I have left-handed shears to accommodate myself. Sometimes, depending on the shear, I can go in and use those right-handed shears. Hold that hair stern, and you also want to make sure you hold it straight down because you're doing a 0 right now, but we're going to end up with a 90-degree cut. Trust me on it. Alright, and you're going to keep on working your way. We're going to leave those sides down right there. We're just working right from this back area. To get your guide started, okay? I got you, Larry. I got you. Okay, I got you. I got you. And he keeps on talking. I told him I'm doing an educational video, you know, but people like to talk. So now you have your blunt 0 here. Now what you're going to do is you're going to drop a little bit of this hair down. Don't worry about your sides right now. Like I said, we brought those sides down because we don't want to have a bite as we get ready to move around in that area. So we'll come back to that. We're going to go in, miss that hair a little bit if it's not wet enough. Now this is where we're going to start pulling that hair and directing that hair. Again, I'm a lefty, so hopefully you can understand what I'm doing. You did your 0. You're going to do a small enough section because I'm so used to cutting in big sections. But I'm trying to do it small enough so you guys can understand what's going on. You're going to pull that hair now at a 90 degree from the head, from that point. Again, small controlled section. You're going to go by your shortest length that you have on the very bottom. That's what starts your 90. You're not, if you elevate it and go with this length, you're not going to have a 90. It's going to throw it off already. So you're pulling it straight out from the base. So whatever point, the one thing I tell students, the best way to explain it is like if you could stand on that person's head and want to stand straight out at an angle. To stand straight out is here, and as you move up on the head, you're going to notice your angle is going to change. This comes with time and more practice as far as understanding how to do that 90 and getting that angle correct. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep on dropping hair down until we have did this whole section and it's pulled straight out from the base. Alright you guys, so again I'm just reviewing with you. You parted your hair off in sections. You don't have to do a 9 section cut. You could do a 4, you could do a 5. I mean whatever you're comfortable with, because at this point you are an advanced student, so you've kind of figured out what works best for you. We pulled out everything around the perimeter and we had started cutting, but I'm just going to review with you if you missed anything earlier. I'm going in again, just making sure I have a 0 here at the very bottom. I zeroed around on the other side. Now I'm coming around on this side and you're doing the same guide. And the one thing you need to remember, if you can cut on a mannequin and get it mostly right, you can cut on anybody. Okay, you still have your 0. So now, the easiest way to really start that 90-degree cut, because it is one of your harder cuts to do, we're going to cut, and I'm going to start in the middle, because what I want to do is, I want to have a guide all the way through from the back to the front so you don't lose your way. So I'm going to take section here. Get your water bottle. Make sure you learn how to manipulate or utilize your tools without having to lay your shears down every time, because that's what picks up your speed, keeping your shears in your hand and keeping them in a safe position. Alright, you've already got your 0, so now at this point what are you doing? You're pulling this hair straight out. And I'm trying to hold it in such a way so you guys can see what I'm doing. What I'm looking for is my shortest length for my guide. So I'm pulling it straight out. And then you're going to cut. Always remember that you do not cut past that knuckle. Try to avoid that at all costs. And you're going to work yourself up. So in the middle, this whole middle section will be cut. All right, you guys, now I've kind of worked my way up to the to that curvature of the head. Most people, this is where people start losing their guide at. And this right here is the most fun part for me, because this is how you really learn how to cut an angle with the shape of a person's head. All right, remember I said we're going to get our guideline and we're going to follow it through around the curvature of the head. Most people have a light bulb shaped head like me. Light bulb shaped head. And when you're following the curvature of the head, it's like your cone, and it's how that cone lays on the head. So if you could stand on top of this head and stand straight out, this is where I would stand when I'm pulling this hair out from this point here. But as I walk up, see how the angle slightly changes? This, and when you get right here, it's straight up. That's how you have to think about it visually when you're cutting and you're trying to transform to the shape of a person's head. So I'm looking at the center amount of hair that I have. That center portion is where I'm pulling it straight up from that point. So this is where center point, I'm taking my shears and I'm just holding it here. This is the stand-up point here. So that's where you're pulling it straight out from that point. Drop some, grab some. Your center point now is going to change. Again, now it's like standing up from this point. This is how you get that rounded shape. And this, as a stylist, shows you how much you're paying attention when you're walking up that head. And the other thing that I do too, because I know when I'm teaching, I kind of do both of them at the same time. And I'll tell you all the time, it's hard for me to stop in motion. But when I cut vertical, I also cut horizontal, or I cross-check horizontal. So depending on if I cut it vertical, I cross-check horizontal, and vice versa. So when I pull that hair up, I'm making sure everything is even. So I'm going to work my way over here and get the rest of this here. But I wanted to show you guys how you follow your angles when you're cutting. Always do small sections so you do not get confused and you don't lose your guide, because that's the other key to doing a 90 is keeping up with your guide. If you can't see your guide, that means you can't see where you're cutting. You always want to see your guide. Okay? See, now when you pull that hair up each time, it should be even. Let's go head on and keep on going up towards the crown. Again, now you're at the point where you're pulling it straight up from the head, because we're at the top plane of that head. And as you get comfortable with cutting, then that's when you can take on bigger sections. You can cut in different angles. But again, it comes with practice, honey. Practice. You can't come out cutting like somebody that's been doing hair and cutting for 30 years, like me. So don't try to do it, because you're going to end up losing your way. Some people do grasp the concept a little quicker than others, but to me, when it comes to cutting, I continuously learn. So again, now I've gotten to the point where I cut in both directions. Why? Because it's a 90. So regardless if I'm going vertical or horizontal, that 90 should be the same either way when I pull it up and check it. That's the thing about a 90. And I wanted you guys just to see, as I also go all the way to the front perimeter of this head, how it's going to look. So and it doesn't stay flat. It's only flat in a certain section right here because, again, that hair, as I call it, that light bulb effect, it still rounds out. So you still have to take in consideration where I'm rounding it. So now I'm slightly standing at an angle like this on that person's head, opposed to standing straight up like that. If I do it like that, it's going to give me more length in the front. It's going to elongate it. And if I wanted to, and that's what I was trying to do for that particular haircut, that's what I would do. But because I'm trying to demonstrate to you a 90, I'm showing you angles and how you pay attention to the angle and the curvature of that person's head. And also, the thing about taking on big sections, if you take too big of a section on, what's going to happen is you're going to end up elongating anyway with certain hair. So again, cutting is something you always are learning from, and you can perfect it to a certain degree, but you also can make a mistake. Even at 30 years in, I still can make a mistake. However, I know how to fix my mistakes. If I elongate something too long, or if I cut something too short, I know how to go in and give it that look like I did it on purpose. So you want to be able to go in and fix what you're doing. And again, now I'm cutting in horizontal and vertical way. Because what did I just say? When you pick this hair up at the end of the day, it should all be the same length. All be the same length. For whatever point I pull it, it should be the same length. Now, really quick, now you're at that front, excuse me, Larry, you're at the front portion of the head, and if you want to do an exact 90, I'm pulling that straight out from this point here. So it's like I would be standing here if I could stand on his head. However, most of the time I wouldn't, because it depends on if Larry wanted bangs, if Larry wanted elongated in the front, if he wanted a little spikier. But again, for educational purposes, if I wanted an even 90, I'm still pulling it out from this point because that's the middle section, and we're working still in that roundabout part. That last piece I'm cutting, look where I'm pulling it at. This is if I could stand on his forehead straight out from that point. So pay attention. Usually when you get into the front part of someone's head, you're not going to do a 90. But like I said, for educational purposes, I'm showing you how you pull that hair directly out. So we're going to go in and I'm going to finish up this haircut. Oh, I'm going to show you real quick how I'm going to do the side. And we're going to finish out that haircut, and then we're going to move on. All right, now you guys, I'm going to show you how to cut that perimeter. Excuse me, Larry, as I put my fingers in your forehead. I've gone, and like I said, we left this out on a purpose because on your mannequin, and it can happen on a live client as well, but it's worse on mannequins because the configuration of how their heads are shaped and how the hair is laying is a little different from an actual person's head. So what you have to do is, but this is the best way to do it, either or. Now you want to measure what you've already did your guide here, and you want to measure each point out around this perimeter so you know you don't do a bite. So if use, for instance, I pull it out, that's what those numbers are on your comb for. That's why I said an all-purpose comb is the best comb to have, because you got your numbers to work with. Pull it this way, playing with me a little bit here, the lighting. All right, this measures, say, 4 inches. So when I start going around this perimeter, we want to make sure it's 4 inches all the way around. So I'm going to pull, say, this piece of hair here out and measure a 4-inch spot. So I'll know to cut this. I'm pulling it out from this point. Again, remeasure to make sure. This is my 4-inch mark. Got me all confused with this comb. Hold on. All right, 4 inches. So I've measured out 4 inches, and then you cut. So now you've measured out your 4 inches here. I'm going to come here and do the same thing at the top of the ear. Because if it's 4 inches here, you want it to be 4 inches there if that's what you're measuring. Now you have your guide. We know that's 4 inches. I'm going to step around. I'm sorry, you guys. And measure again. 4 inches. It's measuring correct. Making sure you're pulling that hair straight out. And we're going to do that all the way around the perimeter. So now you have your guide. Now I'll step around this way so I don't cut in front of the camera. To go by, so when we pull this hair down, wet it if need be. You have your guide here as well as here when you start cutting. So now I'm going to go ahead on and finish up this haircut and we can see what everything looks like. Alright you guys, so I have gone through and I have completed my 90-degree haircut on Larry. And for the most part, sorry about that Larry, he is satisfied. So when you complete your 90, you guys, when you pull this hair up at whatever angle you pull it out to, it should be even. Okay? And again, this is one of your more difficult haircuts to do, but it's a good haircut to practice with because it helps you with control of the hair and learning the angles on the head so much better. Okay? Larry, you good? He said he's good. So if he's good, I'm great. So now that we're finished with Larry, at this point in time, what we're going to do is thank him for coming, thank him for being the excellent patron that you like for them to be. He gets a chance to, of course, look at his haircut and make sure he likes everything. And while he's doing all that, what I'm doing now is, while he's checking out everything in the mirror, everything is being put in my contaminated container. From all my clips that I utilized, even the ones I didn't utilize because it was sitting here on the table with it, it could have gotten contaminated. So everything goes in my contaminated container. And after Larry leaves, set my water bottle to the side. That's my decontaminated. I'm going to start cleaning up my station after he leaves. I'm going to wait till he leaves to clean up. But I have put all my utensils, all my implements away. And again, you're going to get your broom and clean up all that hair. You do not leave your station with hair on it. Make sure you clean up everything and we'll go with it from there. Alright you guys, at this point I have swept up all the hair from my station and now I have brought my contaminated container to the sink and I'm getting ready to clean all my implements. So what I've done was I made sure I took all the hair, any loose objects, mostly hair of course, that was on any of my items. I took that off and I put that in the trash. Now I'm going to fill this container up with warm water, some soap, and you fill it up just enough so it covers everything. You can move them all around. You can rub them with your hands. I prefer using a brush. And I use this brush specifically for cleaning my combs and other implements. So you go in and clean out your combs and stuff really good. Clips, you can scrub those down if you choose to. Make sure everything is nice and clean. I like a brush because it has the little whisk and you can get in between the grooves. And that's why I prefer cleaning with a brush, because it makes sure you get everything out. any other combs that I have. Now that I've cleaned, I can rinse this water, pour this water out, and I'm going to put fresh water in, and we'll get ready for the sanitation part. Alright you guys, now I have completely cleaned and dried my implements here on the side. Now what I've done, I've filled my container with 32 ounces of water, and from 32 ounces of water we're going to do 4 ounces, I'm thinking something else, 2 ounces of disinfectant, and you pour it into your container of Barbicide, of course, and put all your implements that you've dried in. Again, 2 ounces to 32 ounces of water. I'm going to dispose of this towel that I dried with, my container top. You have to make sure it's covered up. And now I'm going to let this sit for 10 minutes, okay? While that's sitting, now I'm going to take the time and I'll trash this. Take my Barbicide wipes, but before I do that, I'm going to get my gloves. Let me sit that back there. And you guys know how difficult it is to put gloves on hands that have a little bit of water on it. So make sure your hands are good and dry. And my gloves are tearing up, but that's fine. Only at the rim. Alright, you got your gloves on now. Because you remember, with any type of bacterial or viral side, you want to make sure you use your gloves. You take a wipe, you go in, you wipe your shears off real simply, all over, between all the grooves. You throw this one away, because all you're doing is wiping, trash. Then you come back with another wipe, and of course making sure you keep this closed because you don't want them to dry out, nor do you want them to get contaminated. Now you go in and you wipe for the next 3 minutes, and then you have to let it dry effectively. So again, make sure, this is how State Board would get you with hair in between the grooves of your shears. You want to make sure that is completely clean. And I will continue this for the next 10 minutes, as well as this letting it process. Alright you guys, so now this has sat in the Barbicide for 10 minutes. We can take the lid off. Take your items, set it in the sink and rinse them off. Make sure they're rinsed off thoroughly. Also, do not forget to put your lid back on top of your contaminated container. Now, this is a clean towel. Get all your items. And now you're going to make sure you thoroughly dry your items and put them away after they've dried. And that would conclude, oh no, we have to come back and clean our station now because we have not sanitized that station yet. Remember, we left everything, we took all our implements off. Now we're going to go back and sanitize our station down. We swept up all the hair. Our client has gone and is happy, and we're prepping our station for the next client. So I'll see you back for that last step. Alright you guys, so we've cleaned up all our implements. We've cleaned our, decontaminated everything. Everything's spotless over there. I took my gloves off. I threw them away. Now I'm coming over here to clean my station. So I'm putting on, and I washed my hands, of course, after I completed that whole task. Now my hands are properly dried. As you can see, I was able to get my gloves on, and I want you to see me put on my other glove. So a new set of gloves, because we're now getting ready to clean and sanitize our station so we can be ready for our next service. So, gloves on, we have a wipe. We go in and we go over our surface really well. However big your cleaning surface is, my sanitizer, my citrus, my Barbicide wipes. Make sure you cover every inch of that surface. Now I'm going to throw this one away. This time I'm going to probably grab 2. Close my container. Now I'm going to wipe down the surface for the next 3 minutes. Making sure it stays wet the whole while. If you need a timer, some people may use a timer to make sure they are contaminating, cleaning the surface for a total of 3 minutes. And after you do this for 3 minutes, your surface is going to be properly cleaned, and it will be time after it dries, you can begin your next service. See you guys later.